Imagine standing by a riverbank and watching a creature sprint across the water's surface. No tricks, no illusions, just pure physics at play. Sounds unbelievable, right? Yet, in the rainforests of Central America, the basilisk lizard does exactly that. While we're bound by gravity and limitations, this tiny reptile turns ponds into racetracks, moving with such cadence and impulse that even scientists had to stop and say, "Wait, how is this possible?" Here's the twist. The very things that make it possible for the lizard, its size, its stride, its lightweight body, are the exact reasons why humans will never pull it off. But don't click away just yet, because maybe the lesson here isn't about trying to run on water at all. Maybe the real story is about adaptation and how nature writes rules we can only dream of bending. Every impossible act hides a blueprint. The basilisk lizard isn't just a quirky spectacle. It's living proof that boundaries can be broken when you know how to play the game. And in this video, you will discover not just how this reptile cheats the surface, but also what it reveals about the limits we've set for ourselves. So, are you ready to see the impossible in a whole new light? Anatomy and locomotion strategy. Picture this: a tiny lizard dashing across a pond, its feet smacking the surface in rapid succession. With every strike, it carves out a small cavity in the water, almost like punching holes that momentarily hold its weight. The timing is flawless. Each impulse is delivered with precision, each step a calculated move. What seems like a miracle is, in truth, one of nature's sharpest adaptations, hidden in plain sight. Now, slow it down in your mind. One foot lands, slap. The water bends, air pockets form, and the lizard's body stays afloat. Before the cavity collapses, the other foot comes down, pushing back and propelling it forward. It's a rhythm that feels almost musical, a cadence so fast that predators don't stand a chance. Imagine a dancer on a liquid stage, except the performance is all about survival. And here's where it gets fascinating. If a human tried the same stunt, the result would be instant failure. We'd sink faster than a stone, no matter how quick our legs moved. But for the basilisk lizard, its lightweight frame and perfect posture transform the impossible into everyday reality. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest creatures hold the biggest secrets, and it makes you wonder, what kind of physics are at play to make this possible? Physics at play. When Harvard researchers Glasheen and McMahon studied the basilisk lizard, they uncovered something that feels almost unfair. The secret isn't magic, it's impulse. Each time the lizard's foot smacks the water, it delivers a burst of force in just the right amount of time, enough to keep its body above the surface. For the lizard's tiny weight, that equation works perfectly. For humans, the math doesn't just fail, it laughs at us. To put it into perspective, an 80-kilogram person would need to hit the water at a velocity of about 30 meters per second. That's faster than a professional tennis player's racket swing. Except you'd have to repeat it step after step, keeping the cadence flawless without ever slowing down. Oh, and you'd need power roughly 15 times greater than what the best human athlete could produce. Suddenly, running on water doesn't sound like a superpower. It sounds like a cruel joke. And yet, for the basilisk lizard, this isn't extraordinary at all. It's breakfast, it's survival, it's business as usual. The same physics that block us unlock a pathway for them. Imagine the contrast. While we sink like anchors, this reptile skips across the surface like it's late for a meeting. Which raises the next big question. Why do the scales tip so heavily in the lizard's favor, leaving humans hopelessly behind? Here's the hard truth. The basilisk lizard weighs about 100 grams, less than a bar of chocolate. Humans, on the other hand, come in at roughly 80 kilograms. That's like comparing a feather to a bowling ball. With that kind of weight difference, the surface of the water simply can't hold us. For the lizard, though, its size is an invitation. Nature designed it small enough to turn water into a running track. But weight is the only factor. The basilisk lizard runs with a blistering cadence, striking the surface with rapid-fire precision. Each slap creates impulse, each step keeps it afloat. Humans move with slower, heavier strides, unable to generate the speed or frequency needed. It's like putting a jazz drummer and a beginner side by side. The rhythm of one fills the room, while the other can barely keep the beat. And then there's the matter of force. For the lizard, the required effort matches its lightweight body perfectly, almost like puzzle pieces snapping into place. For us, the numbers skyrocket into impossibility. No matter how much we train, our bodies can't deliver the power needed to defy the surface. Imagine sprinting with concrete shoes. You won't get far. So the question becomes, if humans can't do it, what exactly makes the lizard's mechanics so effective, step by step? Visualizing the mechanics. Imagine slowing down the basilisk lizard's dash into a frame-by-frame sequence. First comes the landing stage. The foot smacks the water, sending droplets flying while carving out a small cavity. For a split second, that cavity acts like a tiny trampoline, holding the lizard's weight just long enough for the next move. It's a breathtaking balance of timing and physics performed in the blink of an eye. Next is the push-through stage. The foot drives backward, propelling the lizard forward while keeping it above the surface. Think of pedaling a bicycle, except your pedals are made of liquid, and the only way to stay upright is to never stop moving. Each stroke adds momentum, each cavity buys a fraction of time, and the rhythm, so fast it feels like music, keeps the show alive. Survival here is a symphony of motion. Finally, the lift-out stage completes the cycle. The foot escapes the water's grasp, resetting in perfect cadence for the next strike. Slap, push, lift, over and over again, a sequence that looks more like choreography than chance. If you've ever skipped stones across a pond, you've glimpsed the principle. Speed and angle make all the difference. But here's the twist. The basilisk doesn't just do it once or twice. It strings dozens of steps together, turning physics into theater. Which leaves us with a bigger question. What does this ingenuity really mean for us beyond the spectacle? Real-world implications and reflections. The basilisk lizard's adaptation isn't just a natural curiosity. It's a lesson plan in biomechanics. When Glasheen and McMahon put numbers to its movements, they weren't just solving a mystery. They were opening doors. Imagine engineers designing robots that could dart across flooded areas, or athletes wearing shoes inspired by this cadence and impulse. Suddenly, a jungle reptile becomes a silent mentor for human innovation. But beyond technology, there's the humility of watching evolution at work. The basilisk lizard doesn't need blueprints or prototypes. It simply exists, perfectly tuned to its environment. While we struggle to stay balanced on ice, this reptile glides across water as if it were solid ground. Nature Uncovered reminds us that the most brilliant designs often come from millions of years of quiet trial and error, not human laboratories. And here's where it gets personal. What if we treated our own limitations the same way? Instead of seeing them as walls, we could see them as prompts for adaptation. That's exactly what the basilisk shows us, that boundaries are not barriers but invitations to think differently. And as we reflect on this ingenuity, it becomes clear. The real story isn't just about a lizard. It's about what happens when we dare to look at the impossible as a starting point. Conclusion. So, what did we just uncover? The basilisk lizard, barely heavier than a chocolate bar, turns ponds into racetracks by slapping its feet fast enough to create tiny cavities. Each strike delivers just the right impulse, each step sustained by rapid cadence, each movement and adaptation perfectly matched to its size. For humans, though, the same physics demand impossible power. 30 meters per second, 15 times beyond our capacity. That's why we sink while the lizard sprints. But here's the bigger lesson. Nature is always showing us what's possible when design meets purpose. The basilisk isn't just a quirky spectacle. It's proof that boundaries can bend if you adapt. And if evolution crafted this reptile to run on water, maybe our own impossible waters are just waiting for us to find the right rhythm. What limitation in your life could transform if you treated it as an invitation instead of a barrier? Now it's your turn. Share your water walking challenge in the comments. What's the thing you've been afraid to start, or the goal that feels out of reach? Let's talk about it. And if you want to keep uncovering the genius of nature and how it inspires our own lives, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and stay with us here on Nature Uncovered. Because this is just one secret. The next one might change the way you see the world forever.